They say it's the 9th day of December, the 12th month of the pagans, but it is the 27th day of Chislev, which is the 9th month of the Hebrew Israelite calendar. And it's a Sabbath, so we say welcome everybody, welcome and happy Sabbath. Today's lesson is entitled Israel, Bantu, Igbo, Yoruba, and the E1b1a1 genetics. And as usual, I will not be able to say everything that pertains to this topic. We only have maybe a half hour to do this video. And so I will not be able to cover every aspect of this subject. So I know that there are some people on my comment board who will say, hey, brother, you forgot to say this, or you're leaving this out, or you're skipping out this. Well, it's not because I'm skipping it out. It's just that there's not enough time to make reference to everything. And I'm just wanting to touch on the basics so we can make the point. So again, Israel, Bantu, Igbo, Yoruba, and the E1b1a1 genetics. So Israel, Igbo, Bantu, Yoruba, and the E1a1 genetics, right? And there's a lot that's been said about this genetics, this E1b1a1 genetics. And people like to brag about it. A lot of our people like to brag about it, that they carry the E1b1a1 genetics. And for good reasons. And we're going to talk about it a little bit today. And as usual, we will tie the pieces together. We'll tie the pieces together. And as you can see, this map on the right side of your screen, you might be familiar with this map by now because we've used it before in other previous lessons. But this map is the map of Africa, of sub-Sahara. And it is the same section of Africa, the sub-Saharan section of Africa, that we have proven to be occupied by the 10 tribes of the Northern Kingdom of Israel predominantly, and also residue of the Southern Kingdom of Judah in West Sub-Sahara. And we're going to talk about it today and see whether we can tie the knots. All right, so it talks about, we're talking about the Igbo people, and I've done a little bit of research here on the Igbo people. We're going to talk about that today. And this is a search in Wikipedia concerning the Igbo people. And I have friends who are Igbo. I have quite a few friends who are Igbo, and also Yoruba. And I have had conversations with my Igbo friends concerning the Yoruba people. And I've never really asked the difference between an Igbo and a Yoruba. I've never asked it. Why? Because I always thought that they were different, that they were of different biological ancestral ethnicity. I always thought that. Okay? In the same way that I've always thought that the Bantu people are of a specific biological ancestral ethnicity. I always thought that. Until I started doing the research and come to find out that the Bantu people, who are divided up and separated by the colonizers in very recent times, are separated by language. That the word Bantu is an ethnolinguistic term that is used to separate these people into 500 or more different categories of people speaking different variations of the dialect. That's what it is. And so I became curious to see who are the Igbo people and whether or not the Igbo is exactly the same way. Now, the Igbo people are referred to as non-Bantu people, non-Bantu. The Igbo, the Yoruba, are referred to as non-Bantu. And we're going to find out today, why is this so? And what is the difference between a Yoruba, an Igbo, and a Bantu? So let's start by reading what it says here in the research. And I'm very comfortable in using Wikipedia. Okay. You can use other sources, and that's fine. If you have any other sources that contradict this, I ask that you bring it forward, okay? But most of the references that I've gone back to check bear out the same ideas, basically, of what we're going to present here today. Excuse me. So it goes on to say that the Igbo people, and we have different pronunciations. I'm not going to go into the different pronunciations, right? The different spellings. Igbo is one of them. Igbo is another. Igbo is another. Okay, I'm not going to go into all of that. But it says that they are an ethnic group in Nigeria. They are primarily found in Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, and I hope I'm saying these words correctly, Enugu, and Imo states. Now, when I first read that, I thought that this term, an ethnic group, meant a biological ancestral ethnicity. That's what I thought. It says a sizable Igbo population is found in Delta and River states. Ethnic Igbo populations are found in Cameroon, Gabon, and the Equatorial Guinea as migrants, as well as outside Africa. So you can find Igbo people outside of Africa. It goes on to say that there has been much speculation about the origins of the Igbo people. And in the past, when I read that, I thought that they meant that it was difficult for them to tell what their biological ancestry was, where they originated in terms of biological ancestry. That's what I thought this phrase or this sentence means when it says that their origin are met with much speculation. They say it is largely unknown. This leads me to think that they're not sure of, or they do not know the origin of the Igbo people. And again, I'm thinking biological ethnicity. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, it goes on to say that geographically, the Igbo homeland is divided into two equal sections by the Niger River. An eastern, which is the larger of the two, and a western section. It says that the Igbo people are one of the largest ethnic groups in Africa. The Igbo people are one of the largest ethnic groups in Africa. And, it amazes me how the word ethnic keeps repeating itself. And I believe that this is done on purpose for us to think that they're talking about biological ethnicity until you get to the next paragraph. And it says the Igbo language. Hold on. I thought that the Igbo were a people, but it says the Igbo language is part of the Niger-Congo family of languages. It's part of the Niger-Congo language family. And that's when I started to scratch my head, because I thought that these people were an ethnic group biologically. But they are called Igbo because of the languages that they speak, not because of their biological ethnicity. So Igbo is a ethnolinguistic term that is used to refer to these people. It says its regional dialects, excuse me, its regional dialects in plural are somewhat mutually intelligible amidst the larger Igbo cluster. Now, does this not sound familiar? Does this not sound exactly the same way as the Bantu? This is the very same terminology that is used to describe the Bantu people. It goes on to say that the Igbo homeland straddles the lower Niger River, east and south of Idoid and Iboid groups, and west of the Ibiboid. And by the way, Ibiboid just means crossover, the river cluster. So what we have happening here is that there is what is called the Igboid cluster, which is a group of people speaking certain dialects, as opposed to another group of people speaking the Idoid and the Idomoid and the Ibiboid dialects, or dialects, which are referred to as Igbo. Now, it talks about the Niger-Congo family of languages. And I remember when we did the study on the Bantu people that this very same phrase was used, the Niger-Congo family of languages. And so I became curious. And family, if we go ahead and we just hover over this link, we will see that this link brings us to this map. And this map is the very same map that is used to describe the Bantu people. All right, let us go back to our page on the Bantu, and you're gonna see it's the exact same map, right? This is our study on the Bantu people. Watch. Remember this? This is the Bantu people. And it talks about the geographical area of the Bantu people. And it gives us this map, the very same map. And I want you to pay attention to something here. This map is captioned the map of the major Bantu languages shown within the Niger-Congo language family. So, Igbo is just one of the clusters of languages in the Niger-Congo family of languages. Igbo is not a biological ancestral ethnicity. And the Igbo people, just like the Bantu people, are divided up into many different categories and are referred to as the language and dialects that they speak. And it has zero to do with their biological ancestral ethnicity. Zero. It therefore means that an Igbo and a Bantu could be of the same biological ancestral ethnicity, the same people speaking two different languages on the same continent, not only on the same continent, not only on the same continent, but in the same state. And it's a masterful work that has been done by our enemies to fulfill Jeremiah 17 that we read earlier, verse 4, when the Lord said to the Israelites that thou even thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage which I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knewest not. This was accomplished masterfully by our colonizers who decided to divide up the people and refer to them as the dialects in which they speak and not based on their biological ancestral ethnicity. So what we're going to do today is to try to tie the people together. We're going to see if there's any evidence that an Igbo and a Yoruba and a Bantu is an Israelite. There must be something that is common between all these people that can tie them together. And we're going to see today if we can find it. Now, this article goes on to say, I'm gonna jump down to where it talks about the definition and the subgroups. Now remember, we're talking about the Igbo people. And we're gonna jump down here in the article where it's gonna talk about the definition and the subgroups. And it starts out by saying Igbo in parentheses is an ethnic identity developed comparatively recently. It's an ethnic identity developed comparatively recently in the context of the decolonization and the Nigerian Civil War. So this idea of calling and referring to people as Bantu is of Igbo, referring to people as Igbo is an ethnic identity, and by the way, it's an ethnolinguistic identity developed comparatively recently. And how recent is it? During the decolonization and the Nigerian Civil War. Not long ago. Not long ago, very, very recently, is when these colonizers have decided to refer to people based on their languages as Igbo, and to divide them up into different segments of people and refer to each segment as an ethnic identity based on what they speak. And we're going to look at some of the related subgroups, which they call ethnic groups of Igbo. First they start by referring to Igbo as a language. There it is, Igbo language. Then there's the Igboid languages. What are the Igboid languages? Different dialects of the Igbo language. Related ethnic groups. And these are the different related ethnic groups based on language. E1b1a1, we talked about that earlier. E1b1a1, the Efik, Anang, I hope I'm saying these words right. Ogoni, Iduma, Idu. Now, I had a friend who's from Edo State. I have a nurse friend who is from Edo State, right? And we talk a lot about the differences between Edo and the Yoruba. And I had no clue that they're the same people. It talks about the diaspora, which we're going to look into the diaspora. It talks about the Afro-Caribbean. We talked about that last night on our 12 tribes chart. We talked about that on our 12 tribes chart last night about the Afro-Caribbean people who are part of the diaspora and the scattering of Israel. Now here they are telling us that the Igbo people of sub-Saharan West Africa finds its diaspora in Afro-Caribbean. African Americans, Americo-Liberians, and so on. All these people have been separated, not because they are different biological and different genetic ethnicity, but by language. Let's talk a little bit about the diaspora. And in this article, it makes reference to the diaspora. Here is the diaspora of the Igbo people. Here's the diaspora of our family that came out of sub-Saharan West Africa. That we are claiming as our brethren, and we're saying that you are of the 10 tribes or of the 12 tribes of Israel. The diaspora includes the United States. So all these, well, not all, but most of these Afro-Americans are African-American people. From West Africa, you are Igbo. Jamaica. Oh, y'all Jamaican people. Watakono Patwa. Patwa is Igbo. Because remember, it's a language. And it is the different variations of the dialect. So you Patwa speaking Jamaicans, you are Igbo. It says here, let's read it. Igbo people in Jamaica were trafficked by the Europeans into the island between 18th and 19th century as enslaved labor on plantation. Right? All y'all Jamaicans are Igbo. Igbo people constitute a large portion of the African population, enslaved people in Jamaica. Jamaica received, I tell y'all Jamaicans that you are Israel from the tribe of Judah. You're Judah. Jamaica received the largest amount of enslaved people from the Igbo tribes, from the Igbo sets of languages. Okay? Also, people from Trinidad and Tobago. I was reading something about the Trinidad people, that they have a certain dialect also in Trini. It's Igbo, the people of Tobago. Also, it talks about people from Canada and the United Kingdom. All these people are Igbo because you are divided up by language and not necessarily by your biological ancestral ethnicity. So the question is, what is it that ties all of us together? No, we already see when it talks about the Niger-Congo language family, that it made reference to this map, which is the Bantu map. And it talks about the Volta Congo, which are the areas in gray. These are the Bantu and Bantoid languages. These are languages. And then it speaks specifically about the Bantu people, which is this bright pink area. All these people here are Bantu. But there is no genetic difference between a Bantoid, an Igbo, a Yoruba, and any of these Bantu tribes. There's no genetic differences. These are the same people speaking different languages. Another example of that is the Jamaicans speaking Patois versus the Haitians speaking Creole. Same people, just speaking different languages, and maybe on different islands. In this case, in different states on the mainland of Africa. So the question is, what ties us together? Why am I saying that we're the same people? But not only because the prophecy proves that we're the same people, because the prophecy proves us to be the same people. Not only does the history prove that Israel, the northern kingdom, fled out of Assyrian captivity into a land where never mankind dwelt, which biblically speaking is sub-Saharan Africa, because no one dwelt in sub-Saharan Africa during Bible days. And I challenge anybody to show me in the Bible any reference to any nation sub the Sahara. I challenge you. We also prove historically that the house of Judah, after AD 70, when the southern kingdom was sacked by the Romans, that we fled into sub-Western Sahara of Africa, which is here. So this is predominantly the remnants of the southern kingdom of Judah, which is referred to as Igbo and Igboid, alongside the northern kingdom, which is predominantly referred to as Bantu, all dwelling on the mainland of Africa. And so the question is, prove to us that we are the same people. Prove to us that the Igbo people, the Yoruba people, and the Bantu people are the same people. Now, let's continue. Now remember, it says that the Igbo ethnicity is an ethnic identity developed comparatively recently. And they tell us how recent. They said it is during the time of the decolonization and the Nigerian War. Okay? And that is about during the 1970s. So it was only during the 1970s that they started to refer to these people as an ethnic term and categorize them using this ethnolinguistic term. So who are these people? Prehistory. Let's read the prehistory. And it says the Igbo languages form a cluster within the Volta Niger phylum. My voice is going. Excuse me. Most likely grouped with the Euroboid and Edoid. There you go. So the Yoruba people, they're not a biological ancestral ethnicity that is different from the Igbo people. Because the Yoruboid is a part of the cluster of languages, a part of the Igboid languages, the Yoruba. And my friend from Idu couldn't tell me the difference between her and the people who are the Igbo. And that's why, because they are the same people speaking different languages. And then they talk about the greatest differentiation within the Igbo group is between the Ekpai, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and the rest of them. No, it goes on to say that the genetic studies have shown the Igbo to cluster mostly closely with other Niger Congo speaking peoples. Remember remember the Niger Congo family of languages included what? Bantu, remember? Let's go back up to it. The family, you have to see this to see it. They say here that the Igbo language is part of the Niger Congo language family. And when they and the link brought us to the Bantu map. Remember that? Okay, now when we're down here, this is how you're going to tie it genetically. It says the genetic studies have shown the Igbo to cluster most closely with the other Niger Congo speaking peoples. That means the Bantu people. Because they already told you that they are a part of the group of the Yoruba people and the Idu people. Let's continue. Watch this. The predominant Y chromosomal haplotype is E1b1a1M2. This is who you are genetically. So, our topic today, Israel. We have already proven that Sub-Saharan Africa is Israel. Bantu, we have already proven that Sub-Saharan Bantu people is Israel. We have just linked the Igbo people to the Bantu people as part of the greater Niger-Congo family. We have just tied the Igbo to the Yoruba people as part of the same cluster. We have tied all these four in the diaspora, which include Europe, Canada, North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. We even spoke specifically about Jamaica. And we didn't make it up, we just read it. And now they say that all these people here and the diaspora that we just mentioned have the same E1b1a1 genetic haplotype. So this is who all of y'all are biologically. Okay? Where's my research paper? But this is who you are biologically. This is it right here in the research. And you can look it up for yourself, that all these people, the Igbo cluster of the Niger-Congo speaking people, have the same predominant Y chromosomal haplotype, which is E1b1a1m2. This is what makes all of you the same people. And to my brothers and sisters in Africa on the mainland, particularly sub-Sahara, from Cameroon all the way to South Africa, you are the same people. And what people are you? Israel. You are the 10 tribes and are of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth. That the Lord said that he will gather again in the end time. And as we are awake, and as Judah is awake, we're appealing to Ephraim, which is the northern kingdom, to wake up, because your salvation is closer than when you first believed. And with that, I said, all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahweh, and his Son, whose name is Yahushai. And until next lesson, shalom, shalom, and shalom, everyone.